And we are live. Greetings, Otaku Faithful, and those watching on Beamly.com. Thank you for joining me again this week. Once again, this is Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, the king of the Game of Thrones reviews, and I'm joined this week by three special guest stars. First and foremost, I want to go ahead and introduce Otaku Faithful, one of the original 100 subscribers, and I am officially deeming this week. Had the live stream playing while I'm doing my intro, and I just heard my voice, and it was real creepy. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying, though. Officially dubbing this week the Hand of the King. This is my man, Animerick. Rick, say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody? Let's talk some Game of Thrones.
Alrighty. Second guest star this week is also Otaku Faithful. This is Bas Nation. Say what's up to the people.
What's up, guys? I'm new here. I'm from Australia. Game of Thrones, book reader as well. I'm glad to be here.
And finally, wrapping up our special guest list is Otaku Faithful SMX Wing, also known as Steve. Say what's up to the people.
Hey guys, SMX Wing, just a commenter and big time Otaku Assemble subscriber. Glad to be here to talk some Thrones with you guys.
Alrighty, and we are here to bring you guys yet again another small council video segment right here on Otaku Assemble Weekly. And as always, here to bring you the latest in this week's small council video segment. Now, first and foremost, we're going to kick things off, going around table, giving our general thoughts on the episode. So I'll go first. General thoughts on this week's episode. I thought it was a solid episode. I thought that some of the few heartbreaking scenes we had in this week's episode, what with either some character relationships we saw completely end or some we saw take a turn for the worse, I thought all created the somber tone we needed after the major death that concluded the previous episode at the Purple Wedding. Now, that's not to say that anyone was sad to see Joffrey go. I'm pretty sure we were all unanimously happy to see him leave. But, you know, when you kill off a major character, you got to kind of bring things back down a bit. You got to bring the pacing back down, you know. So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the episode as a whole. Solid episode, a lot of heartbreaking scenes, and perfect tone setting.
Rick. Pretty much thought the same thing. Definitely felt that I was expecting this to be a much slower episode than the previous two, specifically the last one. So I wasn't surprised by that. Interesting developments, some storylines getting pushed forward. So overall, it was a solid episode. But I do feel it was the weakest of the three, just from the lack of big events happening, and of course, some of the filler scenes did kind of hinder the episode a bit.
All right. Bas, what do you think?
So, I think that I agree with Rick. I believe that this is definitely the weakest episode of the season so far. I think after coming up from something major like Joffrey's death, it is expected, to just sort of calm things down and set it up for the next couple of episodes. But yeah, generally I found it to be the weakest. There was a lot of filler scenes. My favorite scene in this episode definitely was what they're doing with Jon Snow in the north end. But yeah, generally it was a good episode. Yeah.
And what are you thinking, Steve?
Yeah, I thought it was a good episode, but just like the other two guys, I think it was the weakest of the season so far. Not so much because of the lack of big events, but more so because of the stretched scenes. Lots of the scenes felt long for no reason, like they kept going, and just the fact that there was a lot of filler. As a book reader, I know that some of these events were tweaked and different, but overall, I did enjoy the episode, just not as much as last week's, for obvious reasons.
True facts. So let's go ahead and let's dive into this episode a bit in more detail. So first thing I want to talk about immediately, just out the gate, I want to go ahead and I want to address this, is the opening scene of the episode where we have the Sansa Littlefinger reunion. This was pretty much the scene that both, not only did it kick off the episode, but it actually took place like immediately following the purple wedding. So seeing as how that's what we left our discussion on last week, I felt like that needed to be the first thing we addressed. So I just want to get you guys' thoughts on this. Now, Bas and Steve, I know you guys are book readers, so you know where this whole thing is heading. But if anything else, just first off, I want to know this. In terms of going back to the purple wedding, in terms of what we actually saw in the episode, did it play out in that same sense in the books, or was it, or could you immediately tell the writers took some creative liberties from the source material?
I think they actually did I think they did very good. They stayed true to the books. The only difference that they had was instead of Sansa having that necklace, she had like a hairnet. But yeah, Joffrey drinking the wine, Joffrey eating the pie, Joffrey then like choking, clawing on his neck, and then I think all that was exactly how it was in the book. And then Sansa being taken away by Sir Dontos onto Littlefinger's ship, and Sir Dontos, getting the bolt to the face. All that was very true to the book. I really like the way they did it. I think this episode, like, starting from exactly where they left off in the last episode, I think the only time they ever did that before was with Ned Stark's beheading, and I really like that. I really like that the way they just start you from exactly where you left off. But yeah,
Yep.
In regards to books and show, I think they did really, really good here.
Okay. Now you guys saw last week's small council, so me, Rick, and Bankai. I mean, we were going 30 minutes just on theories about exactly what went down at the purple wedding. My question to you and Steve is it as confusing in the books, or maybe was there more? I guess I can say, was there more information that the reader had before the event that made it more clear than it just feeling like a random, like just out of the blue happening?
No, I'd say that the show made it deliberately more confusing with all the different elements that they focused on camera-wise. They were focusing on the pie, they were focusing on the wine glass, necklace, all these different things. Whereas in the book, the death itself came more as a bit of a shock. I mean, you could tell throughout the wedding that there was an unease around the whole wedding, that you knew something was going to happen, but you didn't know exactly what. And I think the show took a lot of liberties in making sure that the watcher was more confused than they probably should be, because I've been watching a lot of theory videos and people just seem to be really confused by everything. But I think it's more of a show thing to answer your question.
Honestly, I love the way they did it in the shows though, because it's like anyone is a suspect. Like the way the camera shows Tywin, the way the camera shows like the Tyrells, the way they showed Sansa and Dontos. Like especially like now we sort of know it was Littlefinger, but like when it first happened, like it was up in the air. We had no idea who it was or exactly what happened, and I think they did that really, really well. Also, I want to add that with the books, when you're reading that scene, it's like you don't have a week or two, like you don't have 1 week or 2 week break until the next episode. It's like you're reading and you read on. You're not going to stop reading, and then you sort of don't have time to make these little conspiracies in your own head, and you sort of just get all the information at once. So I think I got there was better value in the shows because we got to take it all in, and yeah.
And that's real interesting that you brought up the whole bit about like the extra scenes, because I mean, let's think about it. When you're talking about television or film for that matter, any visual medium, what is the general rule of thumb? It's like if it's on screen, then it must be important, right? I mean, that's sort of like a silent rule that everyone sort of follows. I mean, now of course, if you study screenwriting or anything like that, you learn about that. But I mean, every audience, from a 3-year-old watching Power Rangers to your grandparents watching the news, if it's on screen, it has to be important. So Yeah, so yeah, it is interesting to really think about what extra they put in there to throw you off. Because remember, usually when events like that take place, when we're watching sequences like that, you never stop to really consider, is that a red herring? I mean, just think about it. Even the term red herring more often than not refers to a character. You know, someone that the writer is sort of setting you up to believe is the culprit when really it's someone else. They're using this character to distract you while the other character works, you know, in the shadows and whatnot. But you would never think of them pulling that off in terms of just the cinematography and what we're gonna show you.
Yeah. And I think they did that well because, like, when they would show Dantos and Sansa scenes, like, before the Purple Wedding, it's like, we as viewers would think that that's just like a filler. Like, I mean, why are they showing him giving her a necklace, you know? But then if you think about it, they've got precious minutes. They can't just waste minutes on certain things. So that everything has a meaning to it. So, yeah, I think that was a really good point by you.
Yeah. That's exactly what I thought. This is, alright, it's just a Sansa scene.
Now, now, one thing I do want to sort of admit, and this is going to segue into the next portion about the whole Littlefinger discussion, is this: Littlefinger was one of the spoilers I already knew about. Like, I knew that he was sort of the architect behind the Purple Wedding, but I didn't know how. And so that's one of the main reasons, if you've seen my review or if you saw last week's Small Council video, why I kept harboring on, no, you know, because I actually sat down and watched the episode, and I'm like, no, that didn't happen. No, that can't. No, it didn't work like that. How did it happen? So, like, I was really trying to figure out how he fucking pulled it off. Because the thing was, knowing ahead of time that Littlefinger was responsible, but then knowing at the same time that he wasn't even there.
Exactly. So is that really fair?
Yeah, it's like, okay, so no, he had to have been working with people, had to have been working with him. That they had to have planned it out, set it all up, and if the show is worth any of its salt, it was, the clues are there. So I was looking for them, and I couldn't find shit.
What connected Littlefinger to me? You see, all right. Thinking about the season 3, Littlefinger now has this new obsession or desire to have Sansa in his life. For whatever reason, he wants Sansa. So the moment that the Fool had this interest with Sansa, I was like, all right, Littlefinger doesn't get his hands dirty. That's one thing we know about Littlefinger's done. And so, all right, he's going to hire someone to intercept. And what better person? Not only does he have a personal reason to see Joffrey die, but has a reason to get Sansa to safety, the Fool. So the moment the Fool went to Sansa, like, all right, Littlefinger's involved in some way, shape, or form. Littlefinger's involved, and that's what connected Littlefinger to me in the whole thing.
Now, at this point, I want to bring up. Now, granted, I know Bas and Steve, they already know this. I'm still trying to figure out Littlefinger's motivation for it. I said it in my review. Prior to the Red Wedding. The Red Wedding, not the Purple Wedding. Red Wedding. Prior to the Red Wedding, we know that Littlefinger wanted to secure Sansa so that he could use her to get back into Catelyn's favor. But now that Catelyn's gone, what is his reasoning for Sansa now? And I've been going back and forth trying to figure that out, because it's like, I think I remember reading one. Somebody commented. I think it was on one of my, either my review or a Small Council, where they mentioned maybe it's because he knows that with Sansa he can secure rights to the north. Okay, that's plausible, but that won't happen without opposition. Ain't no way in hell fucking Bolton is just gonna let that happen.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
So that's why I said, if that's what he's after, he played his cards too early. He showed his colors too soon. Because the second they find out that Sansa's in his custody, they're gonna move. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They're gonna move on him. And then I think I read another comment where they were talking about, don't forget that Sansa's valuable because she's you know, she's a Lannister now. She's Tyrion's wife. Tyrion is about to stand trial for murdering the damn king. I don't think they value Sansa in that light.
I'm in the same boat as you, Larry, because, and I honestly think this could be Littlefinger's first miscalculation in the way he plays the game. Because I don't see how this gets an advantage whatsoever.
I agree with you guys to a certain extent. It doesn't make sense for him to play his cards this early. Like, it's way too early. Sansa, like, she was the daughter of Ned Stark. It's not like people aren't gonna recognize her. So if you're gonna kidnap her, people are gonna recognize. And people have. I mean, Littlefinger's the type of guy who leaves no loose ends. But if some, you know, some stable boy who was once part of the North who went down south just happens to recognize Sansa, that's you know, that you're being a bit careless there. And Littlefinger doesn't seem to me like a careless type. But in regards to her value, I think she's incredibly worth a lot, because nobody, even nobody likes what the Roose Bolton and Walder Frey did. Nobody likes the Red Wedding. They think it's the biggest disgrace. Like, the guys will never forgive them for this. So I think that's why the Boltons, Roose is telling Ramsay to go and look for Bran and Rickon Stark, because they know how dangerous, how much of a threat these Stark boys are. If the North ever finds out that a Stark child remains, they will all rally to that child. But the thing is that it's sort of up in the air, because if that's what Littlefinger wants, he wants the North to rally to him. How can he go about doing that? I mean, he's Littlefinger. It's not like he has a proper house behind him. It's not like he has an army to get people on his side to oppose anyone. He's just one man. So what does he want with Sansa? I think I don't know. It's very confusing, and she's valuable, but I just don't see him. I don't understand why he didn't now. He's got nothing. He's got nothing going with him.
Exactly, and see, and that also made me think about, you know, when you were talking about, it's like, how could he pull that off? Well, it would be real easy for him to pull that off if he tried to have a child with Sansa. But then why not just wait until the fucking kid is already born? You know what I mean? Like if you have, hey, look, you know, this is mine and Sansa Stark's son. He has Stark blood, so, you know, he's, you know, a rightful heir to the North and whatnot. But until that happens, you leave yourself completely open for insurrection, for interception. All it takes is for anybody to fucking okay, Littlefinger has the bell. Big fucking whoop. The fucking Knights of the Vale are still fighting the fucking hill tribes, for peak's sake. What's to stop any fucking lord from bringing his goddamn army over to the fucking Eyrie and taking Littlefinger out? Why? Because the Eyrie is supposed to be impregnable? They said the same thing about, well, no, they didn't say that about Black. No, they said it about the wall. They said it about the fucking wall. 4 people. 4 motherfuckers got over that goddamn wall.
Yeah, but in regards to an army, an army going over the wall is not something that's plausible. It is sort of impregnable in that sense, but I mean, just the four guys coming over is not going to make a difference to the south.
Well, no. What I meant was, if 4 motherfuckers could get over the wall, okay, then how? How is it? I mean, okay, let's send 4 people over that fucking wall and open up the front doors. Or use Dany for an example. Okay, let's get a small group of people to come outside. We'll ambush them, and then we'll fucking open up the gate and let our people in.
Right.
Yeah, like the way she did in the Astapor.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, I'm agreeing 100% with you guys. It's like, it's too soon. You showed your hand too soon. You should have waited.
Littlefinger.
Here's my biggest question. We know that Littlefinger has some type of affiliation with the Tyrells, because he was the one who brokered the alliance with them. He was the middleman in that. And we saw that one of his major motivations for doing that was because he had spoken with Marjorie back in Renly's camp about the fact that she wanted to be queen. which is that's how he got the idea to set that thing up. And by then all he needed was Tywin's blessing to be like, yeah, go ahead, fix that thing up for us. So if he's trying, if he's affiliated with the Tyrells, why the fuck would you kill the king before Marjorie could solidify her position as queen?
And
you weaken the Tyrells by doing that, which means you weaken your backup.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
When the shit hits the fan, the Tyrells was a fucking coin that he had in his back pocket until he pulled this stunt.
Well, you'd have to consider, if you do think the Tyrells are somewhat involved in this, you'd have to consider what their end game is, their motives
But their end game, like for the Tyrells, like I honestly don't think that they had any hand in Joffrey's death, because why would the Tyrells do anything before the consummation? I mean, Marjorie would have been a solid queen if it has been consummated. But like just before it's been consummated, it doesn't make sense. Why would she go ahead and do that? Now Cersei is probably queen. She can debate whether who's queen or not. But unless the Tommen and Marjorie thing go on ahead, then we would have.
This falls back to that conversation between Marjorie and Olenna, and I think Olenna and Littlefinger orchestrated this whole thing. I really do. Because
she didn't want Marjorie marrying Joffrey.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think.
She could have waited until the consummation, though. Make her queen.
But she's still all right. But these three scenes connect: Littlefinger, Sansa, the Tyrell conversation, and then Tywin and Tommen. If you really pay attention to those things, we now know that Marjorie is still in line to marry Tommen, so she's still going to be queen, just at a later date. Yeah. So everything's still on track. It's just postponed.
So you think?
But this still falls though with Littlefinger. Did Littlefinger still miscalculate in taking Sansa this soon?
So if you think both the Littlefinger and the Tyrells has something to do with it, you think they both miscalculated by doing this before the consummation?
No, I think Olenna got exactly what she wanted. I think she was looking out for the true best interests of Marjorie, and seeing that Joffrey was the monster that he was, she didn't want Marjorie to have to deal with that. And she even told Mark, you did a good job with Joffrey. Next time will be even easier. Obviously,
that was a dead fucking giveaway. It was
exactly.
Easier how?
So, I mean, everything's still on track for Tyrells, which was a concern for me. As far as like how would this affect the Tyrell-Lannister alliance, but it seems everything's still okay. Now, despite what Cersei wants.
Now the Tommen thing, I missed that. When did they mention that she was going to marry him?
When he's walking away with Tommen, he's like, kings marry. A king needs a queen. It was something along those lines. I mean, I don't remember word for word, but it's as he's walking away with Tommen from Cersei.
Mm-hmm.
It would be expected, considering that the Tyrells throughout this whole situation have the upper hand because they were promised the king.
Yeah.
Right. You would think that it would happen in the marriage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't want the Tyrells against you. But with Littlefinger having a hand in this, does it? How would does it make sense that Lady Olenna and Littlefinger would what's Lady Olenna's interest in Sansa? Is it just from her, she cares about Sansa, that she wants her to go away, or
I truly want to say that what I'm getting from Lady Olenna is she's the only one who's been outright disgusted about the way the war was handled in the end. She makes her snide remarks about, deaths at wedding and everything and whatnot. She was making those remarks in episode 1 and 2 of the season. She does not like the way that was handled. And I think maybe she truly feels bad for Sansa's situation, the fact that her entire family was massacred the way they were. I always kind of get the sense that, despite the fact they saw Sansa as a tool to get an inside look at Joffrey and to get a one-up with wanting to send Sansa to Highgarden and marry Loras, there's a possible side of a Lady Olenna who feels for Sansa for what she's gone through and does kind of want to help her to a certain extent. I kind of do that. See that.
I'm not sold.
I'm not either. I think it's too big of a risk to do something good for Sansa. I mean, her escape. Like, unless Littlefinger paid her off, like, why would she want Sansa to? I don't know. It's just a bit up in the air.
It could have been an even trade. Like maybe if Littlefinger did talk to Lady Olenna, it might have been like I'll somehow kill the king, but you got to promise me you'll get me Sansa or something like that, or promise me she's unharmed until then. Might have been something like that.
Yeah, like pretty much, like if Littlefinger sort of, orchestrated the whole thing, but he knew he needed help on the inside. So then it's like, okay, well, you help me pull this off. Like I'll take care of him for you. I just need a little help. So you help me pull it off, and then so I'll save your fucking granddaughter from having to marry this crazy motherfucker, and in turn you get Sansa to me.
Right.
Something just came.
Sansa's gone. That should ignore Tyrion.
Wait, so what?
Like, Sansa should be public enemy #1, and yet Tyrion's still getting blamed for this shit. Like,
well,
they're gonna start looking for Sansa eventually because if they charge Tyrion, if they convict him, then she'd be an accessory, a conspirator.
okay.
Right.
Actually, just moving back a bit. Do you guys remember the scene from last season? I can't exactly remember how it played out, but Varys went to Lady Olenna and he was warning her about how much of a dangerous player Littlefinger is, and that we should really. Was Lady Olenna disinterested in what Varys was saying?
She already knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember her reaction, but I think I'm gonna go watch that again to see how she reacts to Varys talking about Littlefinger and whether she might. I don't know. I just want to see her reaction and what I can take from that. Actually,
if there was a deal between them, it might not have been done by that time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the fact that Varys said that
meant that he
made Olenna go
Wait, no, I remember because when Varys did that ruined Littlefinger's original plan to take Sansa with him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible this plan happened after that.
Mm.
Yeah, maybe Olenna knew how important Sansa was to Littlefinger, and then maybe she went to him and orchestrated this whole thing.
Yeah, that too.
With the piece that he knew he wanted.
Boy, they some conniving motherfuckers on this show, dude. I swear to God.
Do you guys think that they intentionally try to blame Tyrion? Did they with the whole planning process of Littlefinger and whoever else was planning with him? Did they intentionally want to push all the blame to Tyrion? And if so, how would they have pulled that off?
Well, see, here's my thing, because I mentioned it in my review when I said that I don't see how Littlefinger, or why would he want to blame Tyrion? But in that same regard, why would he blame Tyrion when that's just going to put a spotlight on him? Because the thing is, the second he set Tyrion up to take the fall, he put a spotlight on Sansa. So it doesn't make sense that Littlefinger would want to set Tyrion up if he knew that was going to put a spotlight on Sansa and he wanted Sansa. If anything, dude, that would just draw more attention to himself. Unless he was so motherfucking sure that no, they're gonna blame Tyrion and he's gonna get it and that's gonna be it and that's gonna be the end of it.
But
do you know who you work for, motherfucker? It's like the Lannisters. No, you don't just he's dead and it's done.
They kill your dogs, they kill your cats, they
settle all family business, okay? Because if that was the motherfucking case, they would have just killed Robb and that would have been it. No, they killed Catelyn, they killed his wife, they killed his army, they fucking captured his uncle. It's like, no. The Lannisters don't roll like that.
I don't think Littlefinger's intention was actually to rid Sansa of any blame, because him taking Sansa away from that wedding puts all the spotlight on top of her head. Like anyone smart in King's Landing would think, if Sansa disappeared, how did she disappear? She was probably the murderer, and because Tyrion is associated with her, let's just get him. He's the one we got right now. I think the spotlight was on her as soon as she left.
The one thing I will say, if what Littlefinger wants to do ends with him wanting to marry Sansa, then he has to take Tyrion out. So I would say yes, he wanted to put the blame on Tyrion, but again, it's so hard to believe that, how did he position that? Because, that's the hard part to swallow. Like, there's no way he could have positioned Tyrion to everything that would happen with Tyrion.
With Sansa's abrupt absence, it could only be assumed that he had something to do with it, considering she left. So maybe that's what he was hoping for. Like, the fact that Sansa is gone immediately incriminates Tyrion. Maybe that's what he was hoping for.
I tend to agree with
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. So he could always try to spin it to where it's like she learned about it like too late to stop it or something, or she didn't agree with it, so she fucking bailed before it happened.
Right.
But I think purposely Tyrion the blame wanted to be put on Tyrion for whatever reason. And if he wants to marry Sansa, he has to take out Tyrion.
But seriously, like, these people in King's Landing are so stupid. Which killer would just stand gawking on top of the goblet that he used to poison the king after he just killed the king? Like, thinking about it and thinking of the character Tyrion is, knowing Tyrion. These people are so simple-minded. But just bottom line, I love Littlefinger. My favorite character.
He's actually one of my favorite. I'm sorry. I know he killed your nigger Ned. I know he's personally responsible for that, Larry. But Littlefinger is one of the most intriguing and one of my favorite characters.
This guy's awesome.
You know what? Littlefinger reminds me of Light Yagami in the way he plans and connives and schemes, and that's why I love Littlefinger so much.
The fact that you would mention those two characters in the same sentence is so sweet.
And I see Varys as L. It's like I love that relationship. That's one of my favorite rivalries in the show is Varys and Littlefinger.
Yeah, those are definitely my favorite scenes. We don't get those scenes in the books. Best scenes.
Yeah, those are good.
Okay, well, I think we're gonna find out exactly. Like, we'll get all of, or at least most of the confirmation in tomorrow's episode, because like they did show in the preview that while him and Sansa were on the ship, it's like he started explaining stuff to her. So maybe some of these questions will start getting answered. Probably not the motivations and shit like that, because I mean, it seems like the show doesn't reveal that until they're already like achieved. Like, you wouldn't know why the character was doing something until they actually achieved it, and then it's kind of like, ha ha ha, yeah, this was what I was doing, you know, ha ha, fooled you, didn't I? But so yeah, I don't think we'll get that for a while, but it will at least get more insight on what exactly fucking happened.
Right.
Crazy shit. So anyway, so Rick, what else you got for us?
All right, let's talk about the scene between Tommen and Tywin. Yeah, Cersei was there, but this was more focused on those two characters. I found it very interesting that Tywin moved so quickly on Tommen, as far as trying to mold him, or at least begin to mold him. I found it very interesting. The approach he went about was really interesting, because unlike Joffrey, Tommen has not been groomed for this, because it was quite possible he would never have been king had Joffrey had children and whatnot. So this is really a chance for Tywin to do two things: to have the king that he sees fit to rule, and then now to truly manipulate the realm the way he wants it to be, without having the responsibility of being king. Now, Tommen is a young man, and obviously he's not ready to rule. He hasn't been groomed and whatnot. I do see Tywin being made protector of the realm.
Yeah.
Until Tommen is ready. But I do see Tywin teaching Tommen what he needs to learn, because I don't feel Tywin wants the Iron Throne. I just think he's more concerned about his legacy, because he knows his time is coming to a close. So he's accustomed to being in the background, you know, controlling things the way they need to go for the betterment of the kingdom and his family. As long as it's the betterment of the Lannister family, Tywin's cool. That's all he cares about.
He's got the right to the throne.
Yeah, but for the betterment, it would be better for Tywin to be protector of the realm until he has Tommen ready. But the conflict I see arising is Cersei and how she's going to interact with all this. So, what do you guys think?
Just on what you were saying before, that's why I really appreciate Tywin and I really respect him. Apart from Littlefinger, I think Tywin and Littlefinger are my favorite characters. But with Tywin, normal people would want to assume the throne for themselves. They would want to be in control. They would want to be king. But Tywin realizes that if he tries to take that position for himself, first of all, he's got no right to it, and he would be overreaching. He understands how to maintain control and doesn't give a shit if people see him as being a king or not, because of he just knows how to play this game so well, and just in general, like he is a very, very wise person, and yeah. But with the whole Cersei thing, in that scene when Tywin was talking to Tommen, I just loved the camera shot of Cersei's face. Like the way I interpreted her facial expression was like, holy shit, Tywin's gonna brainwash my son now. Like she can just see, like, at this time they're grieving over Joffrey, and then Tywin just doesn't even give a shit about Joffrey, and he's coming and he's trying to groom my son.
Tommen was like, oh, he's dead. Oh, okay. I mean, Cersei is literally the only one grieving.
Who cares? Yeah.
He's the only one that's like actually sad, and this son of a bitch is dead. That's like the irony of the whole situation. Even Tommen's like, I don't even Tommen like this brother.
Yeah, like Cersei's the only one that cares. I will say this though, just to chime in on the whole Tywin thing. You know, in hindsight, like, because I completely forgot about this. But if you really think about it, Tywin doesn't have to be king because Tywin already does rule.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, most people, even though they would rule, they want to be seen as the strongest figure. They want to be seen as the king. Tywin doesn't give a shit about
exactly.
that.
Well,
exactly.
Because technically he already rules.
He already rules, and it's not people.
Remember, there's an old song. Cash moves everything around me, singing Dollar Dollar Bill, y'all. remember in season 1, what was it? 7 million dragons in debt, something like that.
Yeah.
To who?
To Tywin.
Lannister.
So technically speaking, he already rules. Actually, you know what's funny? It wasn't until last week when they brought up the debt that they had to the Iron Bank. That was the first time where Tywin was actually kind of like, I thought he was kind of shaking a bit. It's like, yeah, because somebody else fucking tugging on your they tugging on your power strings, aren't they? It's kind of hard to, work those marionettes when you got another fucking puppeteer on you, ain't it? Yeah. Sweat, old man, sweat.
Just a fun background information on the Lannisters. Their wealth comes from where they're situated in Casterly Rock. They've got like a gold mine. Their kingdom is situated on top of a gold mine. So they just extract and mine all that gold, and that's how they've been famous. That's how they've been wealthy. That's where their wealth comes from.
Plus, they're pretty good players of the game.
So,
yeah.
So then they do literally shit gold then.
Literally, they sit on gold. Yeah.
Oh man.
Literally, yeah.
Right. Okay. So Casterly Rock is what, a giant gold mine?
So what?
It's pretty much a good thing.
Okay.
On the Tywin scene, Tywin is one of the only characters that could make me despise him and respect him all at the same time. Even though I hate Joffrey, I mean, you can understand how awkward a scene that was for him just to start like right away. It's like if a family member dies or something, and then the next thing you know, everybody's taking stuff from their house like vultures.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of. But all Tywin cares about is the furtherment of his family's legacy, and I suppose that is something to be respected. But I don't think he cares about Tommen. I just think he wants to make it clear that he's going to be his next tool. Basically.
Yeah. I mean, and I love Tywin as a character. I love him. He's one of my favorite characters. Probably, he is my favorite antagonist. That much is true. And when I say antagonist, I just mean in the most base definition of the term as being the figure opposing the protagonist. You know what I mean? I mean, right. I've been saying it since the premiere. regardless of black, white, thousand shades of gray, call it what you will, the Starks are protagonists. They are the heroes of the story, trying to, you know, further it along. The Lannisters are the antagonists. They're that opposite force that is giving them so much pushback. So when you think of it in that term, yes, Tywin is my favorite antagonist. Not a villain, mind you.
There's a difference. There's a difference.
And an antagonist.
Right.
With someone like Joffrey, like, everyone hates him, but personally, I found he seems to be so interesting and so humorous. I'm sort of sad to see him go. I know this might sound a bit, but I don't know. He was a villain. I like villains. There's something different. Like, I'm not into that whole cliched la-di-da hero kind of thing, which is why I love this show, because there's so many blurred lines. Although we do have the Starks, there are a lot of shades of grey, but yeah, just my point.
I think Littlefinger's more of a villain than Joffrey.
Littlefinger.
Much more.
Joffrey's just cruel.
I'll miss Joffrey. He made things fun and interesting, much as I hated him.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much
He got my blood boiling, so yeah.
Little bastard. Thank God he's gone.
I hope, though, going forward, we do see more scenes of this tutorage with Tommen. I hope we see more of this. It was really interesting this past week, and I mean, that could be an interesting story point with Tywin, seeing him teach Tommen and whatnot. We know something's going to happen to where Cersei's going to go apeshit on Tywin, so maybe that could play into that, you know, from the trailers and whatnot. So it'd be really interesting to see how that progresses throughout the season.
True facts. So, Bas, what you got for us, man?
So, the scene that I think that was one of the most interesting of this episode, and the one that I'd like to discuss with you guys, is Jon Snow's scenes and the whole issue with the Night's Watch, the mutineers, the old Night's Watch members who killed Craster, and the wildling situation that's south of the wall, and them raiding the villages just south of the wall. Personally, I love where they're going with the whole story in the north. Mance Rayder's army coming down with 100,000 wildlings, and you know the Night's Watch might be nothing, but they've got this massive ass wall that's protecting them. But just in general, just this scene and the whole dilemma that the Night's Watch now faces. They've got 100 people themselves, and now they've got to go and take out the mutineers before they reveal to Mance Rayder that there's not 1,000 people in the Night's Watch. But just in general, even if a question I want to ask you guys is, even if Mance Rayder finds out that there aren't 1,000 Night's Watch members and there's only 100, what can they do against the big ass wall that's in front of them? What does Jon Snow mean by they'll strike their full force on us? What's giants and mammoths gonna do against a 700-foot wall?
Remember the passage that Sam and Gilly came back to Castle Black through?
Yeah.
Right.
I think those motherfuckers over at Craster's Keep have that information.
But even then,
I think it might just be the fact that Jon has met the wildlings, and he has met Mance Rayder, and he knows exactly how well of a tactician, I guess, he is. I think he knows Mance has something up his sleeve regarding the wall, because it's not like you're gonna forget. Oh, what about the wall? I mean, I think he knows Mance has something up his sleeve when it comes to that, and he don't want to take any risks.
See, though, okay, I get what you're saying, but the show, and maybe this was different in the books, but see, Jon only met Mance so briefly in the show. There was like, what, 2 or 3 scenes. I mean, yes, he knows the strength of the wildlings and how they're organized, but I didn't get that he had that sense of Mance is just a brilliant tactician. How would Jon learn that in that brief amount of time? I mean, off screen, okay, but I don't know if they made it really clear in the shows, but I think from the books we really do get that he's a master tactician, because these wildlings, there's like around, I think, 90 to 95 different tribes of wildlings, and they are so effed up. They are wild, like they are wildlings. So no one has ever in the history of the world been able to bring all the wildlings together into a unified unit of 100,000 people the way Mance has.
So I think that's an incredible feat, and that's the only reason the
No, that is a
Wildlings.
feat. No, yeah, definitely, that is a feat. Yeah.
There have been.
Yeah, and they mentioned that in the show. They mentioned that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they mentioned it, but yeah. So yeah, they mentioned it in shows, but yeah, it's an incredible. That's the only reason the Wildlings are together. If Mance was to be removed, they hate each other. The Wildlings would never go under a single ruler because they've got their own egos, and Mance, someone who was raised by crows, and someone who's unique, who's got no clan background behind him. So that's why they all unify to him. And his ability to, speak 95 different languages, to communicate with them, to make them all appreciate him. And I think he's an incredible tactician in that sense.
Well,
He did mention about the fire. I mean, maybe John is afraid of whatever that could be. I know Manson mentioned it a couple times, the biggest fire the North has ever seen.
Yeah, we know. See, when because I thought he was gonna set one of the other Night's Watch castles on fire or something like that. Because remember, Mance did mention briefly last season when they were talking about what was it like? I think it was when John told them, oh, you'll never be able to take Castle Black because there's 1,000 men there or whatever. And Mance was like, who said I was going to Castle Black? And we know there are other Night Watch castles.
Did he say that?
Wall. Yeah,
Did he say that?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that. That's actually, that makes it much more interesting. I don't remember that. But yeah, he said that.
Yeah, that's when John told him how many men he had. And he was like, fuck's that? I didn't say I was going to Castle Black.
Shit.
Yeah, I think things like that make John scared to where even if there is a big wall, he needs to ensure that nothing will try to get through it or penetrate it or go over it. I think he knows, just based on how suave, I guess, Mance is when it comes to how determined he is. I think just John's afraid of that.
Also, there was also the comment that Mance made when he said it was something along the lines of, the problem with the Night's Watch is that they only guard one part of the wall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's a long fucking wall.
Right.
Just for general information, there's two main castles that are situated on the wall, and that's the Castle Black, and there's the Night Fort. The Night Fort is where Sam and Bran, when they went through the passage in the wall, that was the Night Fort. So that was the other main castle along the wall. But all the other ones are unmanned, and Jon Snow has said this many times throughout the show. The only one that men is situated in is in the Castle Black, and they have a few men in the Night Fort and stuff. But Mance Rayder was a former Crow. He knows his stuff. He knows that there are other castles along the wall, and he's also got wargs with him. They can fly over and they can spy along the wall to see how many men are actually situated on the wall. So it also strikes me weird as to Jon thinking that he can actually fool them into how much men he has, because Mance does have wargs with him. He can see. So also, guys, my laptop is finishing charge. I'm just gonna get my charger and then I'll be right back in 2 minutes.
Cool. Actually, I completely forgot that Mance wasn't a fucking Crow before. So it's so he knows of all the secret fucking passageways and shit. That's definitely
what I found interesting though is I always question. I remember looking at the trailer, they mentioned getting after the ones that killed the Lord Commander,
right?
But at the same time having to deal with the raiders that are in the lands. I actually like now how they've kind of combined the two issues. Now we know why going after those that killed the Lord Commander and Castus Creep is just as important as dealing with the wildlings that are in their lands.
Mm-hmm.
I like how those two merged in this episode. That was really well. I thought that was really well done, because now there is a priority.
Right. Exactly. And dude, I don't even think I brought this up in my review as far as exactly what all could be implemented from from the guys who are over at Crash's Keep, because John was just mentioning he could tell them that we're not that well manned. Dude, what's really gonna stop any one of them from becoming what John was last season? How do we know they won't just completely join up with Mance?
Exactly.
And feed him all the information he knows, not just a few questions.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. It was interesting too that do you think it was the right decision on their part not to deal with to help that village?
Not to help
the village.
Not because what is the guy who's in charge? I can't remember his name. Never dropped his name again. The guy who's in charge right now.
Alistair Thorne.
Yeah, he said that
I love him.
That's what Mance wants us to do. We can't afford to empty and send any soldiers out. So basically, these wirelings are just going to have free run of all the surrounding villages.
Mm-hmm.
And these villages are important because we do know that some villages breed horses for the Night's Watch, crops and whatnot. So these are important, villages in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's perfect. I mean, it's standard siege tactic.
Right, exactly.
When you're gonna sack a castle, when you're gonna lay siege to a city, you got to cut off all the outside sources first before you make your move. That's one of the main reasons why. To use another example, a different example, in The Dark Knight Rises, what's one of the first things Bane does? He blows
cut off Gotham from everything. Right.
Completely isolate them. That, and then once you do that, well, there's. I mean, you're pretty much trying to force. You're trying to force them out. You're either going to force them out, A, by causing havoc and have them confront you openly, which of course is what Alistair said don't do, or B, make them wait it out to where they have no fucking choice but to abandon Castle Black.
Have the show made it clear how many wildlings there are south of the wall? Because I think that's a mistake on their part. I want to know how many people there are that they've got to face with, like, that are on their side.
From that group that John was with, there's Ygritte and that other guy.
Tom and Giant, yeah.
Yeah, I think those are the only two that survived out of that group.
Out of John's group?
No,
yeah, out of John's group, and then they met up with the cannibal group.
Yeah, and it was a whole crew of them.
Yeah, so those cannibals, that little boy, I feel bad for that little boy.
And then, dude, I don't even think they mentioned whether or not there might be more groups. Because remember, the groups. Remember, we're talking about pretty much only 2 small groups in 100,000. So there may be other groups south of the wall that we don't know about yet. Because remember, we didn't know about the cannibals before they showed up.
No, exactly. So how many groups did Mance send out when he sent John and them?
And matter of fact, correct me if I'm wrong, weren't they further south than Tormund and Ygritte when they met up?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, because it looked like they were there first.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, the considering the wildling, the towns on the south of the wall, why the hell would Sam send Gilly to that place in Molestown, saying that she's going to be safe there? If anything, she'd be much safer in Castle Black, because at least there they have some kind of defense. No, but didn't Sam know that? Oh wait! Did the kid going to the Night's Watch, did that happen before Sam thing or after Sam?
After.
Oh shit. Okay, so I want in the next episode if he wants to bring Gilly back.
I don't even think Sam was in that group meeting when they all met, and that's when John told him, like, yo, we need to go to Chrysler. Sam wasn't even there.
There was so many Night's Watchmen there that I just assumed he would be there, but yeah. But just generally, if that happened after Sam taking Gilly to Molestown, I think in the next episode he might be worried a bit because she's not safe there if they're getting raided.
Just by looking at the people in that tavern, she's not safe there. That did not look a very
exactly.
Safe, exactly. And then that one woman got wind that she's technically a wildling. Yeah, she's not safe there whatsoever.
But honestly, I'd be pissed off if in the next episode we spend a lot of time seeing Sam go back to Molestown just to get Gilly to take her back to the Night's Watch, and we'll be back from where we started. What a freaking waste of time! Like I just hope that. I wish they showed more of Bran instead of Sam. Like I really enjoy Bran's scenes and being north of the wall.
Like in episode 2, yeah, Bran
was so awesome.
Episode 2 was my favorite.
That was so awesome.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
So what you think? What you thinking, Steve? I know we haven't had a chance. We haven't heard much from you.
Well, I was gonna talk about Stannis because I'm a big Stannis fan. I want him to be king. I got his shirt on right now. I'm not gonna show it. But his scenes and Davos' scenes, I think, were better than their scenes in episode 2. I think they got a lot more progression. There's going to be progression, I should say, based on what Davos said about the Iron Bank. But what do you guys think? Where do you guys think his story is going? And have you guys been really frustrated with Stannis' progression thus far in the last 2 seasons?
Okay, I'll start that, and once again, I'll introduce another admission. I know what Stannis is supposed to be doing. Because a buddy of mine told me where Stannis' story leads, and that's all the more reason for my fury, because it's like, what the fuck are you waiting for? It's like, get the man. We saw him at point A. Let's get him to point B. No, you want to stay in between A and B. I don't want to stay in between A and B. I want to get him to point B. God damn it!
You got spoiled for Stannis. As
Well,
well,
I mean, I know I know what he's supposed to do after he leaves. What is it? Dragonstone is where he is now, right?
Dragonstone.
I can't explain.
So I know what his like next arc is supposed to be. But
I have that feeling so much. I have that feeling so much with so many characters as a book reader. It's just
that can be explained based on just the fact that they split both seasons. They split the book into 2 seasons. It's like they have to come up with something for him to do, from him to get to this point to the last point. I think that's basically it. It's like they're just putting filler in now. It seems like for his storyline, because I know what you're talking about, Larry. So
then you're telling me that doesn't happen until the end of A Storm of Swords.
we're not telling you anything.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying the things you're talking about. Until we get to those certain points that you're talking about, they got to get, I guess, like stretch out his scenes basically until then.
But they don't. No, they don't.
Well, I'm just saying that's what they're doing.
Because no. What I'm saying is because like I said, once again, I'm trying to speak, not spoiling anything. But if y'all read the books, y'all know we've already got the Easter egg, a pretty big fucking Easter egg. So we know what's supposed to happen.
I know. I'm just as frustrated. I'm just letting.
Don't stretch it out. Let's just do it. Just go do it. Just go do it.
What the hell was his last scene? Like, he was having dinner with his wife and Melisandre. What was the point of that scene? There was nothing to that scene. He didn't like mutton or whatever it was that they were eating. He didn't like meat. He liked fish. That was all we got from that scene. What a waste of time.
Well, burning the infidels, I guess, was the point of that. But
yeah, burning the infidels, that would have been enough. But then they go and have that whole dinner scene. Like, what was the point of that? Were they trying to build a characterization for characters that I don't care about, like Stannis' wife? I don't give a shit about Stannis' wife. She's crazy. We saw that when she burned her brother alive. But like, I don't know. I just think it was such a pointless scene to include.
The only thing you could take away from that scene is how he felt about his daughter when his wife mentioned about her not taking to the ways of the Lord of Light.
I don't know.
I mean, unless it's supposed to set up with something between Melisandre and his daughter.
Yeah.
Because the dinner scene segued into that. So unless something's supposed to happen with them two, then yeah, it
might be part of this continuing. Yeah, it might be part of this continued stretch of his storyline with the whole Melisandre and his daughter thing. So I can see frustration for Stannis scenes to come, but
oh fuck me.
I love Davos though. I love what they're doing with the Iron Bank and him like learning how to read. And I think because in the trailers they've shown Bravos, because when you look at the trailers they've shown Bravos. So like and Stannis and Davos is now looking to write to Bravos. I hope they take him to Bravos, and I hope the Iron Bank gets more involved in all these things, because that's such a good plotline that they've started now.
And see, and that's the thing, dude. I care more about Davos than I do about Stannis. At least he's doing shit.
Look. When I knew Stannis was coming episode 2, and that he made it ended with Melisandre telling him the danger of the White Walkers. Yet Stannis has not moved a fucking inch at the beginning of the season, doing anything.
He can't move without an army. He's still licking his wounds, as Larry has said last time. I don't understand why they haven't made him pursue that course yet. He's sitting down, slouchy, not doing anything. And Davos is doing all the bloody work, but they're too slow with this.
Dude, hold on, cause hang on a minute. Davos ain't the only one doing the story, all the heavy work. Last season, Melisandre got off her fucking ass and went and tracked down Gendry. So she's left. And then Davos is getting ready to do something. Everybody fucking around him is doing something. You know what? From now on, I got a new nickname for Stannis. Sansa. That's a new nickname for Stannis. And until he does something of significance, he will always be Sansa to me. Sansa Baratheon. That's his name.
What's even worse, though, Davos comes up with the idea. Let's hire sellswords for our army. And Stannis is like, no. And I'm like, all right. You're using dark magic that requires human sacrifice and blood. But you ain't going to hire some thugs.
That doesn't make sense at all.
That's going too far. That's going too far.
Well, there's a reason for that.
No, I found it humorous, though. Humorous.
Like, both the black magic and sellswords are despised, but black magic is so much worse than sellswords. So the reason behind it, I don't think it's that strong.
It's so unreliable. At least with a sellsword, okay, he'll do whatever I want as long as I pay him. So what's the downside? He's not loyal to me. Who gives a fuck about loyalty when you're sitting on the damn throne? Do what you gotta do to sit on the fucking throne and worry about that other shit later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
what do you guys?
If you were to hire sellswords, not that I'm defending him, I'm just saying if you were to hire sellswords, hiring sellswords when you're supposed to be the king makes your cause look very, very weak in the eyes of the rest of the realm.
Tell that to Dany.
Well,
cause she got no problem with that motherfucking Dario. She like, yeah, this my sellsword, and he gonna kick your ass too. He rocking it. She rocking it.
Yeah, I think that's just Stannis' thinking on sellswords.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, SMX, though, but using a red priestess, like, people view her as being the puppet master pulling the strings on Stannis. So I don't if that's what he thinks, I think he's really naive, because his reputation with the Red Woman is much worse than him buying sellswords. To get a thing.
I think that's what's made people frown at him, because in season 2, with Renly telling that people really don't like Stannis, I think that's a big part of why, because of his relationship with Melisandre, is why he doesn't have the public's approval, and Renly did.
Yeah, hiring sellswords wouldn't help that.
Yeah, but I mean, he's over that. I mean. Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, you're in the situation that Stannis is in. He should be willing to do whatever it takes. Even if that means orchestrating weddings his own damn self, he should be at this point where I need to do what I need to do to move my ass. So
exactly.
If nothing else, consider this: there have now been two kings since Robert, and neither one name is Stannis.
Why you gotta do that, Larry? Why you gotta?
I'm just saying.
Hey,
let me say this. The War of the Five Kings. He is one of only 2 that are still alive.
Balon
and. That's because of his. That's. Well, yeah, because he's not fighting exactly.
No, he was on the front line. He was on the front line. He climbed the ladder.
No, hang on a minute. If you're fighting a war, yeah, it's real fucking easy for you to stay alive if you never leave the fort.
Keep in the Battle of Blackwater.
He was in Blackwater. He climbed the ladders.
One battle.
That was the biggest battle.
How many did Rob fight?
Rob was in every damn fight.
Credit to Stannis, though, because in that Battle of Blackwater, when he climbed the walls of King's Landing, he was being dragged by his own men because he wanted to go there and kill all the Lannister men. But like that episode 9 ended with Stannis like being dragged back to his ship or wherever they were going to drag him to by his own men, because he wanted to keep going. He wanted to push on.
Yeah, he would have got killed.
I have credit for him for that.
He would have got killed. You want to know why he would have got killed? Because he's on top of the fucking wall by himself, and he's like, yeah, I'm slashing and I'm killing everybody. I'm going to take everybody out. And then here comes Tywin with the Tyrell army. And it's like, well, I'm still going to slash around, and I'm going to kill everybody. Really? Do you not see that motherfucker riding with that army behind him? Coming to flank you. They're not coming in front of you. They're coming to cut off your retreat.
Yeah. Do you guys remember last
Baratheon? No. Screw Sansa Baratheon. I'm done with him.
Wait. Do you guys remember last season? Do you guys remember last season when Melisandre leeched Gendry, and then Stannis threw the leeches in the fight? It was what's his name? Joffrey, Robb, and who else his name? Baelor. But Joffrey and Robb Stark died. I mean, do you guys attribute that to the Lord of Light? I mean, how powerful is this god, or was it just it just happened naturally?
I don't, because
if Balin kicks the bucket, I will, because remember, Balin has been less active than Stannis has, because Yara is doing all the fighting for the Greyjoys, not him.
Yeah.
So if Balin kicks the bucket, then I'll be it's interesting that you bring that up, because it wasn't until they replayed it at the very beginning of this episode that I was like, oh shit, that show did happen. And then of course Stannis mentions it later in the episode, but yeah, you can't just sum that up to black magic, because Joffrey and Robb were active in the war. Robb was the rebel and Joffrey was the king. They were the most active. So if Balin just one day croaks, then I'll be like, okay, yeah, there was something up.
They were active in the war, but then the nature of their deaths were pretty freakish. Dying in weddings, especially Robb's circumstance, that never happens. I mean, I think it's more than just coincidence. I'm just saying. Based on what we've seen.
Whose wedding is Balin going to? Because he gets an invite to a wedding, I'm calling it. I'm calling it now. He gets an invite to a wedding, and I'm like, don't go.
Peace out.
Don't go.
No, I'm honestly honest. My stance is the spell was not complete, and that's why Stannis was so mad at Davos. So I'm gonna say the spell wasn't complete.
Wait, how wasn't it complete?
Because Gondry's still alive, and what we've seen is every spell with the Lord of Light, with Melisandre's case, requires a human sacrifice, and that's why he was so mad, ready to kill Davos, that he let Gendry go.
No, but with the leeches.
But who was the sacrifice for the spell that killed Renly?
That was a baby. That was a demon baby.
That was Stannis' King's blood, because Melisandre even told, like, Stannis wanted to do it again, and Melisandre's like, you're not strong enough. So that has something to do with the King's blood, and that was supposedly why Gendry was important. And supposedly Gendry needed to die for the spell to be complete. That's what I got from everything she was saying.
You're right, Rick. Because Stannis said to Melisandre, why not just use me again? But then she's like, you're too weak. So then that's why she wanted to find someone else with King's blood. So yeah, you got that. You hit the nail on the head. But yeah, otherwise she would have used Stannis again.
And you definitely can't contribute Robb to the death curse, because that shit was foreshadowed, orchestrated from the beginning of season 3. That's what Tywin was doing the entire season of season 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Orchestrating the entire Red Wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you're talking like gods, we don't know their influence that they have. Like, it's not physical, obviously, but like, do they whisper their eyes?
This spell went back in time. This spell went back in time, and put the idea in Stannis' head.
Time might be something different in the realm of the gods, you know. I don't know.
But that's my defense: is you can't contribute Robb's death to the curse.
All I'm saying is I want Sansa Baratheon to do fucking something. His is not the fury, okay?
Oh my god, Sansa Baratheon.
Until he does something of great significance, who gives a fuck about Stannis?
That's messed up.
Yeah, I would probably say, I can honestly say, Sansa Stannis. Anyway, the most disappointing character to me in the show so far. The most disappointing. Dude, no, seriously. And I'm not going to harbor on this thing long because I know this is a very long stream, and I think we're only like halfway through our discussions. But no, think about this. Go back to the Season 2 trailers. You remember the Season 2 trailers? With that fucking amazing voiceover? My brother left no true-born heir. By right of birth and blood, I hereby lay claim to the Iron Throne of Westeros.
Oh, I remember. There was hype for Stannis. Like, yeah, Stannis, he's coming.
They will bend the knee or I will destroy them.
Honestly,
like,
Larry,
that's a fault on the show.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I was gonna say.
Way more Stannis in the books. Way more Stannis. The show seems to only focus on two families, Lannisters and Starks, and everybody else just are side characters.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's Stannis' fault. It's definitely David and Dan, the show creators. They're not focusing much on Stannis when they should, man. I loved Stannis in the book. He knows the real war against the White Walkers.
And see, and that's my thing. It's like if they aren't focusing a lot on him, I think that's because see that's one of the only like I mean that's one of the main objective problems I've always had with the show is character management. Because I've said in previous reviews like I don't care like what was it? I think it was Season 3. Where it was like every episode we were getting a bunch of new characters. And I'm like, dude, I don't give a fuck about none of these people because you still have a shit ton of stuff that you still haven't addressed with the characters we already had. I mean, dude, and just going back, how many motherfucking, how much screen time did Roz have?
Oh my God.
How much fuck and as much as I love her, but how much screen time did Brienne get last season?
My favorite scene was Roz when Joffrey bolted her with the crossbow.
Yeah, me too. I didn't like Roz.
I hated Roz.
I'm trying to think.
I get what you mean, though. I get what you mean. That's a big problem with the running time. People want it to be at least 2 hours longer this season.
Oh no! Don't do 2-hour episodes, dude. It's like
make the seasons actually longer.
I never understood, and this doesn't just go for Game of Thrones. This goes for all storytelling. Period. When it comes to adaptations, I never understood the concept of creating filler when you're cutting out material. I never understood that.
Exactly.
Perfect statement right there.
Exactly the point. Yeah. That's what all book readers are saying. What you just said.
Bam.
Instead of watching great material from the books, I'm watching some guy slap another guy's ass.
Dude, exactly. It's like I never fucking understood it because it's like to me in terms of adaptations, filler is only necessitated if you're trying to prolong the story. So for like examples of this for any of you guys who watch like anime. You know, Japanese anime does this shit all the fucking time, where they'll make filler because they don't want to adapt the source material from the manga too fucking soon. Yeah. The best anime do what I like to call shit. Help me out with this term, Rick. What is it?
In-canon filler.
In-canon filler, where it's fucking filler, but pretty much what they do is they just take canon material and they stretch it out even longer, so you can't even tell that it's fucking filler, but it's filler.
Right.
Dragon Ball Z. You don't
Dragon
know.
Ball Z did that shit notoriously.
You either read the manga or you watch Kai.
They did that notoriously. So that's my whole thing. When it comes, like, you should never put filler when you have to when you have to fucking shortcut the source material, unless, and this is the only big exception, if you need to create filler in order to tell the story more effectively in the medium in which you are adapting it, then that would make sense. So, Like an example. Okay, a personal example of what I'm talking about. Personal example. When I did the first issue of my comic book, no, it wasn't the first issue. It was the second issue. When I was working on the second issue of Totems, in the script I had like on this page, 6 panels, and here's the description, and this is how the shit was supposed to work, because I was still viewing it as a literary thing. It's like I'm writing the sentence, I'm writing the description in sentences. This is the course of events. I send it to my artist. My artist sends me back the page, and he adds a panel to the page. And I'm like, well, why did you add the panel? It was like, because, dude, it's like you had it in the description, but I got to get from this point to get to this one. So we needed an extra panel so you could see it get to that point. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that fucking worked. Yeah, do that. That's another example when you need to add something so that the rest of the material can flow better. Right. That is the only time you should put fucking you should choose filler over canon material.
Yeah, exactly.
Critique.
Ran over.
Yeah, ran over. Lesson over, kids. Be sure to read chapter 2, and we're going to have a pop quiz on Thursday. So let's see. So Rick, you're up at bat, man.
All right, let's talk about my Khaleesi, Dany. There part of me. All right, on the negatively, I don't know where her story is going. Like, to me, she's like, she has her army. She actually has everything she said she needed to go to Westeros. Yep. Yet she's continuing on this crusade to free slaves.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, I can understand why she's getting the backlash from fans.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrell. On the positive side, though, if you really think about it, Dany is the only person actually with a noble cause, freeing slaves.
Right.
And it stems from the fact that she was a slave herself, in a sense, to her brother.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like, where is she going? Like, what is her purpose? From the trailers, I get that she's gonna have this desire to sediment herself beyond just being a Targaryen or the mother of dragons. Because she's like, I need to be more than that. When in the conversation of the trailer, so I'm assuming that's what's going to be coming with her in this season. But I just don't know where her story is going as a whole. I will say though too, I do like, and you brought it up in your review, the different strategies she uses for each town, and the strategy she's using for this town is really interesting. To talk to the slaves first and then attack.
Mm-hmm.
I found that really, really interesting. But what do you guys take on Dany's journey and where it's going?
All right, I got this is more so a question for Bas and Steve, since you guys are the book readers. And it's not a spoiler. Anyone watching the stream this isn't a spoiler question. This is just a question of adaptation. What we see with Dany going on in the show right now, is that in detail in the books?
Well,
yeah, it's pretty in detail. Lots of
okay. Because my thing was, especially after this episode, because I mean this episode is more or less, it's pretty much just a straight up fucking fight, the prelude to the battle or whatever. But Dany's scenes feel like the sort of thing that would be in the book in passing. You know what I mean? Like something the reader would learn about at like the beginning of her chapter before whatever the important thing was that she's supposed to be doing. It's like, like the characters might be talking about, yeah, we just came from Estepor and we did this, and you should have seen Dany. It was crazy. It was crazy. But sort of like a back piece. Because that's what it feels like. It feels like, once again, sort of this small little nugget of the story that's getting stretched out. Because we know that's what they did with season 2. Her fucking storyline in season 2 was like this, and they fucking did this.
Yeah, exactly.
And I get the same feeling.
Well, in contrast with Stannis, where we feel like, where I've even said his story is being stretched out, Dany's really isn't. I mean, they're pretty detailed in the chapter, especially this event that happened in this last episode. Uh, all of, I understand what you mean. It just feels like, I guess, more filler, but Dany's character can frustrate people because it's like you think she should be doing something else, but at the same time you can't really fault her for doing what she's doing with the slaves.
My only thing is that for me, and I've been feeling like this for a while, Danny's stories don't carry the same level of intrigue. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
I'm no longer at the point where it's like, oh, like I don't have questions about Danny, like her stories. You know what I mean? Not really. Like it's not like I mean, dude, consider this. We opened up this live stream 30 minutes just on Littlefinger. Almost another 20 just on Tywin. I can't have those type of discussions about Dany anymore. I could in season one. I could in season one. Why? Because she was still tied to the main conflict. Because Viserys was still around, and Drogo had decided that he was going to raid Westeros. You see what I'm saying? She still had that link to the main conflict. She doesn't have that anymore. Her story really does just feels like a tag along.
Yeah, I think she's got a real linear storyline right now. Like when she was in Carth and stuff, there was sort of some speculation as to are these people trustworthy, like what the hell, what's going to happen. And with season 1, like the whole story that's going on, and even with the birth of the dragons, like Dany's story was always intriguing. But right now, I see where you're coming from, but just addressing your initial question with the books and how they've adapted to the show, I think they've stayed really true to the book, except they have taken some stuff out of the book because the book was in more detail than the show was in. Take that how you will, but it's just her. I think it's George R. Martin that's really at fault in this situation with her. I mean, if you're gonna go with storyline, okay, she takes one city that's a slave city, then she takes another city, leave it at that. And then she goes on to another city, which is now Marine. It's like, it's sort of the same thing. It's getting sort of repetitive. We've had this for more than a season now. But, so, yeah, I see where you're coming from. And even, like, whilst reading the book, I found the first two taking of the cities very interesting. And then when he was writing about going on to Marine and then breaking their chains, I was just like, again? So I get where you're coming from, man. Just some information on this city of Marine. On this whole Slavers Bay in general, before in the ancient times of this whole Game of Thrones world, the Slaver Bays were actually one of the strongest powers in the world, and that's why they have these mega structures like the pyramids that they can't mimic today. But then Valyria, which is the Targaryens and stuff, they found out how to use magic and they found out how to bring dragons out, and they destroyed these Slavers Bay. They burnt down all their crops, which is where the slavers were making their money from. So in order to make money, they moved away from crops which they couldn't make anymore because it was all burnt down. Now they moved to slave.
Supposed to feel detached. But the difference with Dany is that in the books from the show is that her story in the books was way more detailed, and where I disagree with Bas here, it was more interesting than in the show. It was through her chapters in the book, there was a whole world created. I mean, there's so much jam-packed in there, all about Essos and Slaver's Bay, and it was through Dany that you got to learn about the rest of the world as opposed to Westeros. So.
I 100% agree, but to a certain point, like going to Marine and then doing that all over again.
Quick question. Are we still rolling?
Yeah, what it's gonna do, Larry? What it's gonna do, Larry, is that we'll probably get like a. We'll be right back for a minute while you were gone, and then the stream will continue. As long as you come back within 5 minutes, the stream is good.
Okay, so
Wait,
you
hang
heard
on.
it.
Repeat that one for me again.
All right, what's gonna happen to those people watching is that it's gonna be like we'll be right back
Mm-hmm.
for what time you were gone, and as long
Mm-hmm.
as you come back within 5 minutes, the stream is saved, so you don't
Mm-hmm.
it won't start over. So yes, we're still live when going.
But if I was to leave
If you
for
were
more
to
than 5
leave
minutes,
for more than 5 minutes, the stream would cut out. It'd be done.
wait, then how is it that Maine is able to drop out of his streams all the time, but they keep going?
No, I'm looking at the stream right now.
Those streams ended, and he had to start a new one.
I'm looking at the stream right now on YouTube, and it did cut out there for a second.
Yeah.
But now it's back.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's gonna play from where he left off.
Hey,
did we get cut off?
Rick, you remember Robbie, right? Gamer26?
Yeah.
Robbie commented, he said, no!
Are we back on?
Oh,
now?
actually, isn't this Robbie's birthday? Happy birthday, Robbie. I think this
Yeah, happy birthday, Rob.
Happy birthday.
I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it's today.
It's today.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you out. Go ahead, Steve.
I don't know where we got cut off or not, but
You like Danny's scenes.
the only thing I don't really like Danny's scenes. The only thing I was saying is the reason she's supposed to feel detached from the rest of the story, but the difference in the show and in the books is that in the books, through her chapters, the whole world of Essos and Slaver's Bay and everything you learned a lot more about it. So they were more interesting. But in the show, it seems to be a little more boring in that she goes from here to here. There's not as much detail as it is in the books. So, but I get what you're saying with the frustration of her story.
So what you're saying is her story in the books adds to the world building of the overall story.
Exactly. Yeah.
She's the window character.
Yeah.
Personally, I did like Danny's Danny in the book a lot, but man, to a certain extent, even as you say, the show it feels like they're doing the same thing. It felt like that way to me in the books as well. Like, I mean, you're going from Astapor, Yunkai, and Meereen. It's the same thing, man, except you get a bit more detail and stuff. But generally, the plotline is the same. Like, move on, do something else apart from slaves.
Right. No, I get you.
It's one season long now, you know, or in the books, like one book.
I do hope that this city was more of a challenge because she cakewalked those last two cities.
Yeah,
like, she cakewalked. Yeah.
This city is like the size of King's Landing. It's like a massive city. So
right. So I'm thinking it's gonna
saying.
be a challenge. This is gonna be like her first challenge on this conquest. Like the first resistance.
I really like what Larry was saying. I think it was in his review about the consequences of her taking over these cities, because we haven't seen anything, like we haven't heard about any news about Astapor or Yunkai. I mean, you can't just completely take over a whole city, kill all its rulers or whatever, and expect that city to thrive. I mean, what's happening with them?
The fallout, exactly.
Slaver's Bay, the whole way they were making money, the whole way the city was functioning was based on slaves. If you've freed those, if you've broken those chains, what are they going to do now? They can't grow crops or anything because their crops have been burnt. So, like, how are the slaves who've got no experience on anything going to run this? I'm just really interested to see what we hear from them later on, or how she deals with Meereen. Just actually thinking about it, like in the terms that we're talking about it now, it is sparking my interest a little bit, just seeing on the consequences of her action, because it is fresh, her taking over these
which is why.
She hasn't really created much of a track record of collateral damage yet.
Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be like maybe in the second part of the season with her story, when we get to that whole wanting to be more and establish herself as her own individual. We may see that. That's what I'm thinking.
It is still early. You're right. It's like third episode only.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping at least.
Well, when they were putting up, Meereen was putting up those hanging those. What were they? So were they hanging slaves?
Yeah, those little girls
so
or whatever.
That might be a foreshadowing of what the trouble is to come, but.
Wait and see. Wait and see.
It's like they're provoking her. It's like they're not afraid of her in that sense, if that's what you mean. Like like they're not afraid of her unsullied or whatever. They're actually trying to make her more angry, I guess.
Right.
Hmm.
And to add to what Larry says, Danny may be the shortest discussion we have. Yeah.
Wait, say what?
I was saying to add what Larry said, Danny may be the shortest part of this stream. So the Danny discussion.
I said that with the Danny discussion, or I said that with Stannis?
No,
Stannis,
you said.
Oh no, yeah, I did. Yeah, I know what you. Yeah, I see what you did there. You ain't. So let me see. Who's Bas? You're next.
Yes, Tyrion. Tyrion's another character that we haven't really talked properly about. So he just let go of Podrick Payne, and
that's the least.
yeah, just with that. That was a pretty sad scene actually.
Yeah.
Him letting go of Podrick, man. That was. I didn't expect that actually. Like the way that whole thing, they did that really well. And Podrick didn't want to sort of betray him, and Tyrion's like, don't risk your life for me. You got to get out of this city in general. But just Tyrion's scene in general, him wanting to bring Jaime to talk to Jaime. What could they possibly talk about? And yeah, just talk about Tyrion in general. Him being for this season, Tyrion being in prison, like. There's got to be a trial, or what's going to happen with him. Like, he's not going to be as active moving around, I think, because of his situation. If there is a trial, I just can't wait for that.
Well, I mean, they said the trial was in a fortnight. So for all we know, that trial might be next episode or the episode after. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, a fortnight is what? 4 days, 3 days? Something like that. I mean, a fortnight's like a weekend. So the trial is soon.
I hope so.
I'll be honest with you. I'd tell you what I would love to freaking see Jaime and Tyrion's eventual conversation if Jaime comes in with a pipe.
Saying, man. I'd love to see that.
If Jaime comes in with a pipe and it's like. Wait, hang on, man. I need to illustrate. If Jaime just comes in with a pipe and like, here you go, bruh. It's like, yeah, it's like doing time. It's like, yeah, did mine up in Rob's in a Stark's camp. Tyrion's like, Stark's camp. Remember they had my ass locked up in the Vale? Yeah, man. It's like can't keep a nigga out of prison. No, seriously, this is the second time Tyrion's been arrested for something. The second fucking time. Oh, wrongly arrested. Wrongly arrested.
Exactly. Feel sorry for him.
Wrongly. At least Jaime was fucking ambushed.
I mean, so like just looking at it now, what we've seen now, his only hope is Jaime. So if Jaime doesn't do anything, like, is he just gonna face trial and lose? I mean, what kind of support does he have? Even Varys is gonna plead against him, as Pod told him. So, like,
what would be really interesting though, because we've seen Tyrion get himself out of some fucking situations. I know he said I can't talk myself on this one. Trial by combat is always an option. And let's say,
but Tywin is going to make him fight.
Yeah,
Tywin's not going to let him have a. It's not like Bronn's going to be able to fight for him again.
But with
the trial by combat,
able to choose a challenger, like let's say Cersei chooses the Mountain, and Tywin just blurts out, "I choose Oberyn Martell." Do you think Oberyn's going to deny that opportunity?
And that fight was in the trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
So you think that's when it might go down at the trial?
Dude, that goes down. Tyrion is the greatest player of the game because he outplayed his sister and his father at the same time. He outplayed his sister and his father at the same time. Tyrion is a G. That would be interesting as hell. But I honestly, I mean, I was thinking about that. Like, I see it ending trial by combat because Tyrion cannot prove himself innocent. There's, I mean, it's the whole
situation guilty either.
But there's more circumstantial evidence against Tyrion than there is because there's a motive. They can prove a motive. You know, the way Joffrey and Tyrion's entire relationship, the fact that Tyrion was his cupbearer. There's so much circumstantial evidence against Tyrion, it's ridiculous. But you're right. There is no hard, concrete evidence.
Imagine the conflict that would arise if Oberyn does somehow fight on Tyrion's side. Like Tywin, does he give a shit about Tyrion? Like, would he want him to survive this trial? Do you guys think?
The opportunity to fight the Mountain is Oberyn's endgame. Like, that's what he wants more than... I don't even think him having a seat on a small council was a deal breaker. The deal breaker with Oberyn was our range of meeting between you and the Mountain.
So you think Tywin is gonna make Oberyn fight for Tyrion as a means to give him that?
No, Tyrion will name Oberyn because what was the reason why there's all right when you do trial by combat, which we've only seen in the Vale, Tyrion was able to name.
Hound, whatchamacallit, last season with the brother.
Oh yeah, you're right. But
yep.
What was the reason why Tyrion could name a fighter for himself? I forget.
He's right. He's right. They've got right.
Because he's entitled to it.
Okay,
they're
entitled to
it's kind of like the same thing as how you have a right to an attorney. If you do a trial by combat, you have a right to name a champion. But he went with Bronn because he wanted Jaime. And Liza said, I'm not waiting around for the fucking Kingslayer to get here. No, it's going to happen right now.
I'm just trying to remember, is there a certain reason why you to be able to name a champion except yourself? That's what I was trying to think. But if that's
you're allowed to, if they're present. If they're present at that moment, you're allowed to name anyone.
Right. So, I can see it going down like that because, I don't see how Tyrion can prove his innocence. There's too much circumstantial stuff against him. Not to mention, do we know what Tywin wants? Tywin probably wouldn't mind seeing... It's the best way to finally get rid of Tyrion once and for all.
If that's what you think Tywin wants...
Yeah, I don't know, but again, I don't know what Tywin truly wants when it comes to Tyrion.
Which is why I love Tywin.
Yeah.
So you got to read him.
Part of me says he doesn't want Tyrion convicted for this because that's a disgrace to the family.
Well, there are. You have to consider what punishments there are too.
Dude, everyone knows the twins been fucking. Can't get more disgraceful than that shit.
But he's in denial about that shit. He's in denial.
No,
Tywin
knows. He knows. He knows. Where you think it started? Under his roof. He knows.
Yeah, but who's?
Oh, you think he's known all along?
No. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
He's known all along.
That'd be interesting. That ever comes up. Okay.
Dude, just consider this. How much shit you found out your parents knew about you before you knew it?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Can't keep shit from your parents. They always know. Like spiders. It's great.
Yeah, but Tyrion's scene was probably the best scene of the episode to me.
Yeah, it was actually. I'll be surprised. I didn't even think they would show something like that. That it would be between with him and Podrick. I wouldn't have thought that. But yeah, I definitely dug it. It was heartbreaking, man. That was his only real friend that he had left. That was it. Now he's all by him damn self. Because Bronn's paid to be his friend, so that don't really count. But you got to remember, Podrick saved Tyrion's life, at Blackwater and shit. So that was his friend. That was his squire.
That was his only proper friend. Bronn was in it for the money, but Pod, no, that was his only friend.
That was his ward, man. It was like his boy. And he gone now.
I do like. So if this is Podrick's exit scene, though, we will never find out what he did in that damn brothel. God damn it.
I completely forgot about that.
But no, I always do question why is it just his nature to be that loyal to Tyrion? Like why was Pod willing to go above and beyond for Tyrion? I always wondered that.
Well, he's a squire. If you're a squire,
you think that's just the nature of the squire.
I mean, dude, you're supposed to be loyal to your liege no matter what. That's how you get knighted.
Yeah. Interesting, if you guys didn't know, but Podrick Payne is related to Sir Ilan Payne, who was a King's Justice. Yeah, just the.
Well, they
cool
offered him to be a knight in order to so he could testify against Tyrion. So being a knight might be something important to him, and knights are generally supposed to be loyal. So that's probably why. In the books, he's a lot dumber.
Well, I like Podrick.
That's a welcome
change in the show then.
Yeah, that's a welcome change because I don't think Tyrion would really keep a dumb person around. It doesn't make sense that Tyrion would keep somebody like that in his company. Because I mean, dude, say what you will about Bronn. Bronn's quick as a fucking whip. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't say that Pod was dumb in the book. He was just really obedient. He never spoke for himself or anything.
I think
so. But even in the show, I think he's a bit gullible. Well, no, he's not. I like the show Pod more than the book Pod, but he wasn't dumb. I don't think he was dumb.
Maybe dumb was the wrong word, but he was certainly gullible.
He was sort of blank, like he was sort of oblivious to. No, I don't know. It was weird.
He was simple.
He was obedient. He was
simple.
He was simple. He was the Forrest Gump.
Simple. That's a good word. Simple. Yeah.
So, Steve, what you got for us?
Okay, the scene with Tywin and Oberyn.
Oh,
now,
God.
the 3 minutes before that, I don't really care. I don't want to talk about that. But Tywin and Oberyn.
Let's talk about the love making, man. You can't have.
All right. I will say one interesting
without
thing.
sex.
All right, no, there's actually an interesting. The whole bisexual thing. I actually like the fact they gave exposition on the fact of the thought mentality behind it, because that is the only bisexual character we met, and so we actually got like a thought mentality about it. So I found that interesting. I'll say.
Personally, I didn't think Tywin would ever enter a brothel. Him entering that, it's beyond his character. Like, man, it just seemed wrong to me.
You know, just like Tywin is still in the bed, and Tywin look at that bed like, dude, I just saw all that. It makes me laugh.
The way he walked in,
I'm cool.
The way he walked in, I thought he was about to join him. No, but the scene between those two, how do you guys see the sort of, I guess, temporary, if you want to call it that, I don't know if it is or not, pact between both these two characters and these two houses, based on Oberyn's hatred for the Lannisters and Tywin specifically?
Oh no, it's definitely temporary. I can say that. I think as it stands right now, because honestly, the whole deal that Tywin's going to arrange, a sit down between him and the Mountain. That's the only reason why he's doing it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I think if that wasn't even on the table, like even if he told him it's like I want you to be a judge in Tyrion's trial, I'll give you a seat on the council and all this stuff, Oberyn wouldn't have gone for it. That's the only thing I think made him bite, and it's the only thing I think that's going to keep the alliance in play. Because after he disposes of the Mountain, that's it. It's like, okay, I got what I wanted. Now, screw you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely temporary.
He wants to kill Tyrion too. Tywin though too, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to kill.
So after he disposes of the Mountain, he's going to turn on Tywin.
Yeah.
The alliance goes beyond that though, because I don't know if you guys remember, but I think it was early season 2. Cersei's daughter, Princess Myrcella, was shipped off to Dawn.
Right.
So she's engaged to marry one of Doran's son. So that relationship still exists between the Lannisters and the Dornish.
Right.
Well, no. Technically, that's not between the Lannisters and the Dornish. That is between the King's Land, the royal family, which is technically not the Lannisters to the public eye, and the Martells. So technically, that's not
correct me, it's Myrcella, right? Or Myrcella.
Myrcella.
Myrcella is a Baratheon. She is not. Well, no, she's a Lannister. We all know she's a Lannister, but her last name's Baratheon.
Yeah, but she's she's still a big piece and a big important piece to Tywin's overall plan.
Right.
Whether she's-
Tywin's
Like-
playing.
Right.
Tywin's playing. So the second Oberyn's like, change plans. Oh, and besides, I don't think anything will happen to Marcella. Oberyn gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna kill your grandpa. And
Yeah, I wanted to introduce a whole dynamic. See what you guys generally think on that issue, because it's still out there. I mean,
Well, I mean, I think he indirectly sort of made a threat in episode 2 to Cersei and Tywin about them having a big piece, Micella down in Dorne. Don't you think that was sort of a threat?
a
Like,
reminder, a friendly
reminder?
reminder.
All right, I guess that's.
I mean, it's once again, I gotta reference westerns. It's pretty much the same thing. How like when you watch a western and the guy sort of pulls back his jacket so you see the gun. He don't pull it, but he just kind of, yeah, I'm
Throws it off,
kidding.
yeah.
okay, so Tywin has offered Oberyn a chance to get at the mountain. What would happen if Oberyn loses to the mountain? I mean, the mountain's one tough dude. He's 8 foot high. What would happen then between the relationship? Would Tywin bet on, like, would he take this risk? Because that's a big risk. I mean, what would, if Oberyn dies?
He'll have a plan. He'll have something in place. He'll have something in place.
Knowing Tywin, he probably would.
But he guaranteed a meeting. He didn't necessarily guarantee a fight, did he?
Man,
Oh, come on. Everyone knows it's gonna be a fight.
a meeting between Oberyn and Mountain is not going to be talking.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone
No,
knows
they're
it's gonna be a
gonna
fight.
Well, Tywin.
Yeah, it's going to
Tywin's,
be a fight. It's going to be a nasty fight too.
yeah, Tywin's game's probably, if I can probably lose the mountain but gain Dorne. Maybe that's what he's thinking.
Or
Yeah.
in the event that the mountain kills, dude, I'll be honest with you. This wouldn't surprise me at all. In the event that the mountain kills Oberyn, he could be like, oh well, he just went fucking crazy. You know the mountain? You know what I'm saying? He just went crazy. I couldn't believe it. So I tell you what, I'm gonna take care of him. I'm gonna take care of him. You know, he went ahead, he killed y'all Prince. I got this, free of charge. I'm gonna kill him.
Yeah, that is a good point. It's a fair platform for them to, like, I mean, that's what Oberyn wanted. That's the whole reason he went there. So if he goes back, it's his fault.
I mean, it's a gamble by Tywin because I mean, he's basically sacrificing his best warrior in his personal army to
Well,
get in the good favor of the Martells.
Do you think Oberyn would want the mountain dead, or do you think he wants to do it himself?
Oh, he wants to fight him. He wants to fight him and do it
Well,
himself. Absolutely.
It wouldn't be that big a risk then, because if the mountain wins, then he gets rid of Oberyn.
Yeah, but either way, he has to sacrifice his best warrior because for vengeance for the Martells, he has to kill the mountain or have the mountain killed. So either way, for this game, he has to sacrifice his best warrior.
But I think having a hothead like Oberyn bite the dust, that's a very good plan for Tywin himself. Because man, if you can get rid of that bomb, then why not?
Yeah. But you know what? One thing with the Martells and learning about the relationship between them and the Lannisters, and even you said, Larry, you know how they're the most powerful military. Why didn't Stannis go to them and make an alliance with them?
Because Stannis don't have no.
Who? No. Who? What are you talking about?
Why didn't
Martells and Stannis?
When Stannis found he was fighting the Lannisters, why didn't he just make an alliance with the Martells?
Because he doesn't believe in alliances.
He could have. He's an idiot. He could have.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't believe in alliances, dude. They've said that multiple times in the, Renly said it was like if only you had a friend. You could use a friend.
Yeah.
Well, the reason probably is because he didn't the Lannisters already have did Tyrion send what's her name there before?
Nope, that didn't happen until almost midway through season 2.
Well, they probably figured that Stannis doesn't have anything that the Dornish want.
But
yeah, exactly. I really, at this point, I really think they could care less who sits on the Iron Throne. Cause see, that's sort of the thing I like about Dorne. They seem to almost operate. I mean, like I have been informed that they don't operate independent of the Seven Kingdoms, but
no, they don't.
They keep their they can afford to be distant, is what I mean.
Yeah,
They don't have to. They didn't have to get in. The main reason why we're just now seeing them is because they never had to get involved in the war.
But I think Rick brought up a really good point, because the Dornish, they had a common cause with Stannis. Stannis wanted the Lannisters out, and the Dornish want revenge for Elia, because Doran, who was the main king or whatever person in Dorne, he wants revenge for his sister. Oberyn wants revenge for his sister, and they're the two power plays in Dorne. So they would have had a common cause. They didn't have to like Stannis. They would have just had to tolerate him. They missed out. Stannis missed out on a good opportunity, in my opinion.
Wait, but time out. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it? Well, no, I don't. No, because Oberyn's sister was married to Rhaegar, right?
Yeah, and then Rhaegar left her for Lyanna Stark, which is Ned Stark's sister.
Right, but see, my point would have been, I don't think a Baratheon would have came to the aid of a in-law of a fucking Targaryen. But Stannis has never displayed Robert's malice for the Targaryen.
Yeah, Stannis is different to Robert, and especially for his cause at that moment. I mean, pursuing an alliance with Dawn was much better than getting Melisandre to have a demon baby come out and kill Renly. If you know what I mean. Yeah. It's more indignified to get a demon baby to do that.
Well, no, it's more honorable to do that, but you would have had to face Renly and his giant Tyrell army.
It's kind of like the red. I mean, it's the same situation with the Red Wedding. Like, I hated Tywin for doing it at first, but then you think about it, it was the best solution in the end, as far as like bloodshed and pain to the king, and the overall strain on the kingdom itself with and everything. I mean, Tywin didn't do it for those reasons, but that's what resulted.
Oh yeah, he sent that message. No matter how bad you kicking my ass, I can always sneak around and get you.
Yeah.
So fuck. Dude, real man, he would have just beat him on fucking field.
But overall, this alliance, this temporary alliance, as you call it, between Oberyn and Tywin is going to be very, very shaky, very, very shaky, and it could be led to some very interesting dialogue. I think between the two. A lot of passive aggressive remarks towards one another.
Actually, dude, I'll be honest with you, bro. Now that I think about it, I don't even think this thing is going to come to a head with the Oberyn Mountain thing. I mean, dude, if Oberyn if he favors with Tyrion during that trial, that'll be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, I mean, right then and there, fucking, because, okay, consider this. Clearly, Tywin he asked for him to be a judge for a reason, because he figured, why take the risk of someone else assuming this fucking position if I want to convict Tyrion? Let me go and get the fucking judge, give him something to get him on my side so he can decide the way I want him to.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there's being a judge, like, disqualify you from being able to actually participate as a champion. Like, I mean, you already have your position in this whole situation as being the judge. I mean, I don't know how the laws work in this regard, but I'm just saying.
Well, I don't even know. I mean, remember, the only other time we've seen trials by combat is the Eyrie, and clearly they're not lawful in the
Eyrie. That little boy was the judge, so he just trial by combat instead.
Yeah, he was batshit crazy, so.
That boy's got a crazy mother. I feel sorry for that kid.
Why? He's as screwed up as she is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a kid, though. He's a sponge.
There are two birds who flew over the cuckoo's nest. Pun intended.
She grabbed him and flew him over there.
Pun intended.
Man.
Hell with the area with the fucking Veil of Aaron. Fucking crazy. But all right, so I think that'll bring us to our final discussion topic, which is pretty much the main one I wanted to talk about, because it was really crazy when I read about this stuff. Apparently, the Jaime Cersei scene this week was like created all this fucking controversy. I mean, I'm talking about just outright uproar. So much so to the point that even Martin had to go and address. You know, he did this interview. I forget who it was with, but he did this interview addressing it. And this came out the day after. This came out on Monday when that interview came out. So pretty much, now this is what I understand from the whole thing, is that there was a major change in the Jaime and Cersei scene, because in the books it's more so of a love scene, whereas in the show, of course, we saw that it was a rape scene. So that seems to be where the big I mean, that's pretty much the main point of the whole controversy. So since I have Bas and Steve here, I'm wondering if you guys can kind of fill us in on exactly what that whole thing was about.
So in the books, exactly what happened was Jaime, when he first entered King's Landing, the first thing he did was enter that septon, and Joffrey was lying there dead, and Cersei was there next to him. That was the first time we see Jaime in King's Landing. And with the show, however, we have Jaime before, so they brought him in earlier in the shows. So when Jaime sees Cersei, they both miss each other, they get in each other's arms, bam, consensual, that's it. That's what happened in the books.
I mean, yeah, he wasn't there, he wasn't present for the wedding. The first thing he did is went to Joffrey's, like you said, right when he was dead, but it was consensual, but the whole backlash was probably because book readers found that rape scene, if you want to call it that, to be, I suppose, more complicated because of Cersei's relationship with him. But yeah, overall in the books it was consensual.
Just in regards to their characterization of Cersei and Jaime, like when in the show, in the first dialogue between Cersei and Jaime, why was Cersei upset with Jaime? Like, it makes zero sense to me. Like, he was imprisoned, for God's sakes, and as soon as he had the chance, he left and he came right back to you. I mean, the journey was hell. He lost his hand. Why the hell are you angry with him? It made zero sense to me. That pissed me off as well.
Well, if you hadn't noticed up until this point, Cersei's crazy. So
yeah, she is batshit crazy. Which I'm actually glad that at least that's, you know, sort of established, because here's the thing, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna preamble this with a foregoing warning to all of my female viewers, because I am about to get into some fucking gender issues when it comes to storytelling and when it comes to this series. I've already spoken ad nauseum about this shit. And if any of you guys watch my discussion of the weeks or anything like that, you know I've addressed this shit before in terms of female characters. But let's face it, more often than not, when you see something like this in a television film or in a television series or in a film, what's usually the reasoning behind it, or at least the undertoning reason? Oh, a female character acts overly emotional and she becomes irrational and she holds these grudges that make absolutely no fucking sense. And what's the underlying explanation? Oh, because she's a woman. Really?
Yeah. Wait.
Really?
Before you continue, Larry. I'm just gonna say this. This is what happened in the books. In that scene, whilst Jaime and Cersei have it is incredibly graphic. George writes, Jaime pulled out with blood on his. So
yeah,
like,
I'm
just saying.
Sex scenes extremely detailed. That's what I've heard.
Very graphic. Very graphic.
Yeah, I've heard he writes extremely detailed sex scenes in the books.
But Larry makes a good point with the whole what we're just talking about right now, because the first scene in King's Landing for Jaime was when he showed up right there at Joffrey's death, after the death. So you didn't have that scene where she was acting irrational toward him. So that's kind of the characterization of Jaime, or I should say maybe, well, actually now Jaime too. Jaime and Cersei have been a little off this season in their relationship anyway.
Now, I read I think it was on the article. I think it was the article that George Martin's interview. someone left a comment where they said their main problem with the scene was that it fucked up Jaime's character arc. Because remember, dude, from what they were setting up with season 3, they were trying to like sort of redefine Jaime's character as sort of being more of this like tragic figure. And this sort of, they went for the whole sympathy ploy and shit like that, and they were trying to make him more redemptive, it seemed. If you guys saw my season 3 reviews, you knew I didn't fall for that shit.
Right.
His last name Lannister, he ain't no motherfucking, no, he's not a golden lion. He's a fucking dirty, fucking ruthless vagabond, okay? No. Is that the ice cream man?
Yeah, it's passing by my house.
At damn near 8 o'clock at night?
That's what I said, yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying, too.
Still daylight.
Damn, now I want some ice cream. Anyway, but it's like, it seemed like last season they were trying to set all of that up for Jaime, and then they make him do some skullduggery like that, which is like, what happened? What happened to the redemption and the sympathetic and all that bullshit?
Yeah.
What I found interesting, see, I don't understand the big uproar, because if I think the scene in season 2 where Sansa almost got raped was more brutal than that, first off. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's because Sansa almost got raped and she actually didn't get raped. But some of the shit that Joffrey did, I mean, they were still on the clothes when the scene concluded and whatnot. I mean, I just don't understand. Like, I thought it was a good scene because it was a culmination of everything that Jaime has gone through. And that was straight out of frustration. That was straight out of anger. The comment he makes after that, why do I have to be in love with such an evil, hateful woman? His frustration just overtook. But what I found interesting about it, too, is it kind of was a reminder. Yeah, he's trying to gain back his honor, per se, but at the end of the day, he still is who he is. He still has that dark side in him. Well, and I think that actually it was a good point to make about Jaime. He's not a goody two-shoes he's not Ned Stark. He's not trying to be Ned Stark by any means. But he does have self-respect for himself, but he does have a dark side. And that is Jaime.
It didn't get such a backlash because of how brutal the scene was. I think it's just because of what it did to his character. Like Larry said, in season 3, they were setting him up to be something different.
But I think it didn't hurt his character because he's not a goody two-shoe. He's not a nice guy.
But the setup was true to what Jaime was going toward. I mean, that's what kind of he was going toward. Like you said, he's still a jackass, but he did have these qualities that in the bathtub scene in season 3. That's a perfect scene.
Yeah, that the infamous, by what right does the wolf judge the lion? Well, the wolf didn't throw a 10-year-old out of a fucking window. The wolf didn't rape his fucking sister next to his dead son. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, I said it in that review, and I'll say it here again. By what right does the wolf judge the lion? By every right. By divine right, if you must. Why? Because Ned and Rob didn't do stupid shit like that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
On that point, though, George R. R. Martin did say about that, about actually making a judgment on Jaime for pushing Bran out of the window. He said that if Bran had gone and told Robert Baratheon about that, then both Jaime and Cersei probably would have been killed. Their children probably would have been killed as well. The whole Lannister line would have completely been like just dog shit thrown at it. You know what I mean? It's like to stop that, Jaime at that second, because he didn't have much time to react, but at that second he thought, over this little boy, am I gonna let my sister, my whole family, my whole house get destroyed because of this little boy? I mean, it probably isn't over-exaggeration. I mean, all that probably wouldn't happen, but he would seriously be thinking that in his head. And him doing that, obviously it was wrong, but at that moment, I think...
No.
Now, I don't think he would do that.
Here's an interesting thing, though.
I don't buy that, and the reason why I don't buy that is because they already took out Jon Arryn. Remember, That's the thing that starts the entire fucking story.
Yeah.
They had took Jon Arryn out for that exact same reason. So no, it's like, if I can take out the fucking hand of the king, I can take out a fucking 10-year-old, no problem.
That's a really interesting thing. He regrets breaking his vows to a mad king that was going to massacre the entire city of King's Landing, yet he's shown no remorse or regret about presumably possibly killing a child for keeping his dark secret.
Because
he never at no point. Yeah, at no point. I mean, like honestly, I mean, like again, this all falls to the fact that Jaime is not a nice guy. He has regrets, but it's the regret that it hurt his reputation and honor. That's his true and end-of-day regret. He regrets not having the respect and honor of a knight like he feels he should. There is in that sense, this whole redemption story that they're trying to do with Jaime is kind of I can't think of the word.
Well, I mean, it's got a point. He's an interesting character. I do agree with Bas there when he said about when he threw the kid out the window, he had all these reasons going through his head, but Jaime, I don't know. I think Ned, in a way, will always haunt him, just because.
Yeah. I will say, all right, I'll say this. I can't think of the word I was trying to think of for whatever reason. But there's a duality to Jaime that I think makes him a much more interesting character now. You know, going forward. You know, the dark side of his ruthlessness, that he'll do what he has to do when the time arises. And then, of course, this whole fact that he is trying to redeem himself in the eyes of the public. There's like the public, you know, that he wants his honor back. So there is somewhat of a duality. And I think that's going to play more as the season goes forward. And, of course, what I'm really curious about is where do Cersei and Jaime go from here?
Well, see, I think, and that's what I wanted to comment on, because I think, first off, in terms of, I mean, I guess it's in terms of the fact that, why was the scene, turned into a rape scene the way it was, and why did they bring Jaime back so soon? I think it's because I've been calling it all season long. There is going to be a great breakup between Jaime and Cersei. I'm calling it now. Something is going to happen, and I mentioned in my review that maybe it was Joffrey's death that's like, okay, now it's like, shoot. It's like they were kind of teetering for a while. You know, that Cersei was on her bullshit, that animosity was there, but when Joffrey fucking died, shunk. Because I mean, just look at the scene. Look what she's asked Jaime. First off, you got on the man's shit for something that wasn't his fucking fault. And like I said, as much as I fucking hate Jaime, I am still on his side in terms of what the shit been going on with him and Cersei, because he's in the right. So she's already on his case for that shit, right? Then their son get killed. But how does she respond? Oh, well, I'm mad. I'm still mad at you. So I'm still going to be pissed off at you. But I want you to go kill our little brother because I know he was the one who killed our son. And no. Don't be kissing and hugging up all on me. Go kill this motherfucker. And then I'm still going to be mad at you when you're done. And Jaime's like, who the fuck is you? He's like, no. So pretty much my point being is this. I think that they brought Jaime back when they did, and that the scene was changed like that because now this is all building up to when the big breakup happens.
Well, yeah. I mean, Cersei really does care for her children, so probably more than Jaime.
Yeah, more so than Jaime.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
more so than her own brother.
All right, let me ask you a question, Larry. Though, do you think? All right, that rape scene put Jaime in a bad light. Do you think, from what we know of the characters and what they're trying to do with Jaime, wouldn't it make more sense to make Cersei in the bad light of the breakup than Jaime?
Oh no, Cersei will do her part. We'll still be rooting for Jaime when the breakup happens. Because we just hate Cersei.
Yeah.
I mean, What is Cersei going to do to make her more ridiculous? We already know that at least Jaime. You know what? I don't want to call him a victim of circumstance because that lets him off the hook, and I don't like. Just for the sake of argument, I'm trying not to let my bias come into play because I don't like characters like that. These rich, entitled, preppy fucking. I used to beat up motherfuckers like that in school, so I really don't care for them. You know, I really don't care for people who had it easy in life. You know what I mean? I don't know what that feels like. You know, that's why in terms of this show, I like Tyrion. I don't consider Tyrion to be a Lannister because he's not like the rest of them. He hasn't had to deal with the shit that the rest of them have. That's why I love fucking Jon so much. You know, he's the fucking bastard. He's the one to discard. He's the one that everyone's like, no, fuck you. And he's like, I'm gonna save this whole motherfucking realm. Watch, just watch. Just watch. So, Jaime is like, no, I don't care. But even with that in mind, Cersei is just like, die slowly, please. Seriously. Matter of fact, I would probably say I dislike Cersei more than I dislike Joffrey, and that's because at least Joffrey, you knew what you were dealing with. Cersei is too motherfucking conniving, she's too backstabbing, she's too fucking manipulative, and she's too much of a little bitch, and that does not have anything to do with her being female. I'm talking about she's a bitch in terms that she likes to throw her stones and hides her hands. I don't like motherfuckers like that. So, no, I'll still be rooting for fucking Jaime when the fucking fallout happens, and I'll laugh while I do it.
I thought you were gonna say you hate her more than Sansa Baratheon.
Let's not get crazy now.
No. Wait, hate her more than
Because when you were saying I hate her more, I thought Sansa Baratheon was gonna come out, but no.
Oh no, of course I hate her more than Stannis. Of course. Of course. Yeah, I hate no. If I had to name 3 characters on my shit list, it's Joffrey, Cersei, and
I just
probably
like
Littlefinger. Probably Littlefinger.
Oh, Littlefinger, wow.
Yeah. Well, they were the 3 who killed my nigga Ned. So yeah, they've always been on my shit list. They've never gotten off of it. But I would say on that list, Cersei's probably at the top. Yeah. Now, once again, like I said, I love her as a character. Like the role her character plays is absolutely fucking phenomenal. I love the role she plays in the story. But as a person, oh, I hate her to death. I would not hang out with her. No, I would have been fucking shot her. I'd have shot her ass with a crossbow day one. The second she lied about Nymeria, I would have been like, done.
That's so fucked up.
Yeah, no. Anyway, so yeah, but that's what I think. I think it's they're slowly building up to it. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what one of the things that happens in the finale is that we see like the last big argument between them.
Because as it stands right now, she wants Jaime to do something for her that she feels only Jaime can probably do. She's like, fuck this trial. I want you to kill him now. And so once he doesn't do that, that's when she's gonna like start going batshit crazy on Jaime.
Yeah. Which is real stupid because just like in terms with Stannis and his friends, Cersei does not have friends.
No.
Jaime is probably the closest thing to that, and she's fucking up that relationship now too. So soon she will be without friends as well.
And she's the Queen Regent. For all that stuff you just said.
Well, for now.
Well, for now,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure once Tywin's done telling Tolman about the birds and the bees. Cersei won't be queen. Well, no, I'm sorry, dude. That shit had me rolling when fucking Tywin was like, it's like, well, do you know how that thing happens? It's like, well, yeah, I've read. It's like, you read. Well, let me tell you how it really happened. I'm like, I've had that conversation with my grandfather. Awkward as shit. Awkward as shit. Oh, man. So, anything else? Or are we at the point for final thoughts?
I think we got. I'm good for final thoughts.
Yeah, same.
Final thoughts?
Right.
Yeah.
Final thoughts.
Let's move. Okay, guys, final thoughts. Rick.
Again, solid episode. A lot of things to talk about. I mean, we've been talking for a good minute, and there's a lot of things that relate to other things, and there's a lot of intertwining storylines. So, but overall, solid episode. Still think it was the weakest out of the three. That's just because of the high caliber the first two had, but we'll see where the season takes us.
Yeah, I think
No,
it was the weakest of the 3 episodes. I think it built up pretty well, but I think there was a lot of filler scenes. Sorry, and yeah, just generally, I think I spoke more today on just what we've had previously than more on this episode itself. But this episode, yeah, it was an alright episode. But yeah, can't wait for today's. What day is it today? Sunday.
It's Saturday
Yeah.
over here. So.
It's Sunday. Yeah, tomorrow's episode for me.
What time is it over there?
It's 12:58 p.m.
It's still
Sunday.
noon over there.
Yeah.
That's why the sun's beaming through. I was like, what time is it over there?
Yeah,
Jeez.
Sydney, Australia.
That's crazy because I'm just looking at my clock like, man, I'm about to go to bed in a couple of hours. What do you think, Steve?
I echo the thoughts of these previous guys, man. I think it was the weakest of the season. A lot of stretch scenes, a lot of filler, controversial stuff that sort of deterred what was supposed to be good character development for Jaime. But I still think it was a good episode. Got a lot of good scenes, and really looking forward to what happens tomorrow. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, my final thoughts are all the same, except one thing. One thing though, because this is something I don't know if you guys noticed this too. Did you notice that they did a complete exchange in terms of scenes in the last 3 episodes? And this is what I mean. The same characters we were following in episode 1 were the same ones we did in episode 3.
Yeah.
They didn't integrate Bran in this episode at all. No Theon.
But we didn't.
No Brienne.
We had Stannis in this episode, but we didn't have him in episode 1.
Oh, we did?
Right, he was in episode 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's the one character then. Okay.
But yeah, just generally,
no, for the
I
most
think you're
part,
right. Yeah, for the most part, yeah. We didn't have Danny in the last episode. Not sure we can have him in the next episode.
Yeah, and we're gonna have her in the next one too. So yeah, that's true. So anyway, yeah. So that is going to wrap up this week's Small Council video segment. I want to go ahead and once again thank my special guest. First off, Animerick, the Hand of the King.
Hey guys, Eric here. Go ahead, guys, check out the channel. Game of Thrones review will be tomorrow. We're gonna start doing some older anime episode reviews. You know, from starting from the beginning and working our way down to some animes I slept on throughout the years. So be on the lookout for those videos and other content coming up.
Alrighty, and I also want to extend a huge thanks to Otaku Faithful Bas Nation for offering to join this small council because this whole thing came about because Bas hit me up and was like, "Yo, Larry, man, I want to be in next week's small council, man." And I was like, "Well, shit, I'm looking for new people to be on there, so yeah, let's go ahead and let's do it." So yeah, Bas.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I was surprised when you replied back. But yeah, I made a couple of videos a while back. Talking about the differences between the show and the books. I've only did season 1. hit me up on that. If I get some responses, I might continue to do more. But yeah, cheers, Ataku. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. And last but certainly not least, Steven, also known as is SMX Wing, correct?
Right. Yep, that's it.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have a channel. I don't make videos or anything. I'm just a commenter, but I like to talk Thrones. So anytime anybody wants to talk Thrones, just hit me up, SMX Wing. And thanks for the invite, Larry. It's good to be here. I always big long-time subscriber of yours, and it's good talking to you guys.
Thanks for joining, man. So let's see. Brief little update. What is coming out? Well, pretty much tomorrow. Tomorrow, double duty. I got my Game of Thrones character Spotlight. That's going to be out hopefully tomorrow around noon. It's going to be out tomorrow around noon, and then the Game of Thrones episode review will be airing live tomorrow night after episode 4 airs. And let me see, anything else? Oh, also, if you have not done so, please feel free to follow me over to the Game of Thrones TV room on Beamly.com. The link, as always, is in the description box below. Please feel free to check out the page, to join the discussions, the chat, also to check out some of the other reviewers who post there. And I think that's about it. So with that being said, this has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, signing off. And until next time, peace.
Peace.
Sayonara.